we have the first presentation, integrating risk-based contractor selection for sustainable infrastructure. Roger Adamah.
Hi. Afternoon. My name is Roger Adamah, as you see on the presentation. I'm a practicing project manager, but I'm a trained architect. Professor Adinja is not here, but I'm also a proud old student from KNUST and the Faculty of the Built Environment, as well as Professor DeGraft. So I'll just deal within the 15 minutes. What I want to talk about today is about the way we select contractors for our construction works. I think for every institution, if you want to achieve some of the goals, you need to be very cautious and very conscious about the people that do the work for you. More often than not, we are quite interested with people who just give us price and they give us timelines. And we are okay with that because after all, the lowest bidder is the person that we are looking at to do work for us. It moves beyond that if we really want to make sure that we achieve the goals that we have set for ourselves. So what I'm saying is that in terms of selecting a contractor, sorry about that. Okay. So I'll be signaling you to move to the next page, right? Okay. All right. So we'll just, this is the outline, but I'll be brief with a lot of them. So we'll look at some key concepts. We'll look at a process that we can use to do that. And then we'll look at key risks that we have to consider as part of this process. And then how we integrate sustainability issues. And then we look at the scoring framework, the challenges that comes with it. And then we can look at some form of conclusions and recommendations. So, like I previously mentioned, so my background, I've worked within the mining industry for a very long time, and I'm currently working in the energy sector. My previous work, I was in charge of projects for sustainable and capital projects for Goldfields Ghana Limited, the West African region. If you look at some of the structures we have in place in these institutions, it drives a lot of these initiatives that help us to achieve the development goals. So these are things that I've practiced over the years, and these are things that I've used to do some of the projects that I've handled. And with some of these institutions, what happens is that we do a lot of reporting. So we don't just do projects, we do projects that we report on to our stakeholders, to our lenders, and then to our shareholders. Sometimes even on the GRI, we do all these reports. So typical traditional approach, like I said, you are only looking at cost, you are looking at time, but there are key issues that you may have to look at in terms of what the contractor will deliver for you that we don't do. And so what I'm saying is that you need to have a situation where for every project, since it's unique, you have to identify certain elements of that project that would affect your delivery. And based on that, you need to develop a model or criteria where if you invite contractors to tender for a job for you, you look out for. I mean, no project is the same. So based on a particular project, you as a project manager, you as a lead, should identify things that you expect a contractor to deliver for you throughout the life cycle of the project. I mean, this page, I'm talking about the integration. The other sheet was more of the integration. Go back. So you are trying to, can you go back? Just, no, back. Back. Yes. So I'm talking about thinking sustainable way. That's the ESG issues. I think a lot of the speakers today have spoken about that. And then also looking at the risk base. And what I said is, the first thing, you identify what you want to do, the deliverables in that project that you want to address these issues on. You assess them, see how you mitigate them, and then while the project is running as well, you monitor to make sure that all KPIs that you have already delivered are being done by contractors. So the process, you could adopt a five-way process. The risk identification, the definition of the weighting, right? Because in as much as we just want to get people to do work, we also want to be very objective in selecting people who do work. So the second thing you do is to try to create a criteria that you use to select. And then you go to assessment. At assessment, you are actually looking at what a contractor has brought, the evidence in his document, which shows that he can deliver what you have identified in the first step. And then you go to scoring. And this is more evidence-based. I mean, if a contractor says that his balance sheet is okay, I mean, it's only fair that he shows that his balance sheet is okay in the documentations that he brings, right? If a contractor is saying that he has certifications, certain ISO certifications, it's only good that he brings those certifications as part of the tender document. And that's where you do the assessment for selection. And then finally, you do post-award monitoring. It doesn't end there. So in terms of contracting, you would have to also try to insert some KPIs to achieve your goals. And as the execution goes on, you monitor to make sure that those KPIs are met. Sometimes it can be health and safety, it can be quality, it can be, what do you call it, in a sense where you want them to take care of the human factor, as they said. So these are things you can also monitor to make sure that it goes right for you. I mean, 4 key areas you can look at. Quality control is not here, but for some projects, quality is key, that you cannot do it without it. But you look at these in terms of the core ESG issues, all these areas come into part of the core ESG issues, where you have to assess them financially. I mean, you cannot imagine you give a job to a contractor and he's owing a bank. You give him mobilization and the bank swallows all the money. How is he going to do the work? So if you don't think about that, you probably get people to do work and they are not even able to pay their employees. They are not able to pay the poor worker who comes to work every day because the money is gone. And these are things that they look small, but they have very big impact. They have very big impact. Okay, I'm testing it. Very big impact for delivery. You look at health and safety. I mean, for some contractors, you need to understand how they've been doing their work. Are they having more accidents? Are they killing people? Are they maiming people, making people being amputated? These are things we need to find out. We need to ask questions. There may be people who have had multiple, fatalities on their site. And sometimes it's a trend. You think that it will end there. He comes to your site, he causes fatalities. So you need to actually check some of these things. You are looking at environmental compliance. Right? These are all things that you need to verify before you give jobs to contractors. So that at the end of the day, you have the best contractor that can deliver all the goals that you are asking for. Compliance is also the technical capabilities. And so the key thing here as well is in this risk-based assessment. The first slide I showed was a risk-based. Now you have to integrate the sustainable issues as well. And these are all also things that you can highlight. I mean, you are looking at environment. What does the guy do? What has he demonstrated that he will do when he comes to your site? Spillages, managing waste, right? Managing other biodiversity issues on site, especially cases that it's a pure brownfield project. You obviously have biodiversity there. Animals, how do you ensure that he doesn't kill animals? These are all things that you have to consider as part of the ESG issues. Of course, social practices. Some of the lecturers in the construction industry, I think they spoke more of the social as well. I mean, people's salary sometimes is not paid because the contractor doesn't have the money, right? Sometimes their culture, the contractor's culture itself, is not good in terms of managing community employment. Has he demonstrated that his previous work, he got people from the community? You need to interrogate that. And then you look at the governance, which is also very critical, because some are not transparent. You know, they come and say all the stories. You go around and ask where they have done work before, and it's a total disaster. These are highlights that we need to understand before we say, get the work done for me. So the scoring, it's a process. And I'm just trying to say that in as much as you put all these issues together, you are trying to make sure that you are very objective. Of course, it comes with its own challenges. But as much as possible, so if you see the matrix on the right-hand side, highlighting all the issues, making sure that objectively you score contractors to get the best out of the lots that you have brought. It comes with challenges, like I said, but obviously you can make some solutions to resolve them. Because once you review documents, sometimes you may be very objective, right? But there are various ways that you can, especially in the weighting, you can actually use multiple stakeholders. I mean, you can get a lot of people to do this evaluation. So it doesn't become one person trying to say that this guy is good or this guy is bad. There are other methods there. I mean, you can use an AHP for that. And even with a contract management, you need to put some key KPIs in there that will help with the management of that. So finally, I mean, these are key takeaways. And I believe when we are very conscious about this and not just think that anybody gets up and comes to do work for you. You have to be conscious to direct and also conscious to understand what you want to achieve as part of your project, where each project is different. Then in that way, you can drive these goals that we are talking about, ESG issues. You can drive it right from the beginning of the project by embedding it in the contractor selection and then the contracting. Thank you very much.